The laughter floated through the backyard, like it always did on those warm Saturday afternoons. But that day, something felt different. The sun was high, the grill was smoking with ribs and burgers, and the kids were chasing each other around the lawn. I stood at the picnic table in my favorite yellow sundress, arranging the salads I'd spent all morning perfecting. I was smiling, but inside my chest, a tiny knot of worry had already started to tighten. I had been married to David for 10 years. 10 years of cooking family dinners, remembering every birthday, keeping the peace when his mother criticized my parenting or my cooking. I wasn't from their world, big houses, private schools, summer trips to Europe. I was the girl who worked 2 jobs to pay for college and still showed up with homemade potato salad because that was love to me. David used to say I was his safe place, his calm in the storm, and I believed him. That afternoon, I was buzzing with something bigger than the barbecue. For months, I had been secretly building a small catering side business, nothing fancy, just weekend events for friends and neighbors. I had finally saved enough for a real website and business cards. I wanted to tell the family. I wanted them to see that I could do more than handle the house. I wanted them to see me. So when David's mother asked, "So, dear, what have you been up to lately?" I took a breath and spoke. "I've started a little catering thing," I said, my voice soft but steady. "Nothing huge yet, but I love it. It feels like..." The table went still. Forks paused midair. David let out that short laugh he always used when he thought I was being cute. He put his arm around my shoulders and squeezed too tight. "Honey," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "this is all you can handle." He waved his hand at the bowls of pasta salad and paper plates. "Keeping things simple like this. Let's not overcomplicate life, okay?" A couple of his sisters smiled awkwardly. His father nodded once, like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. No one spoke. Not one single person looked at me and said, "That's wonderful." The silence stretched out, thick and heavy, until someone changed the subject to football scores. I laughed along. I had to, but something inside me cracked wide open. That silence. It wasn't just quiet. It was a door slamming shut on the woman I was trying to become. And in that moment, I felt smaller than I ever had in my entire life. But what I didn't know that day was that the real heartbreak was only beginning. I drove home that evening with the car windows down, pretending the warm wind could blow the humiliation away. David sat beside me, humming to the radio like nothing had happened. The kids were asleep in the back. I kept replaying his words in my head on a loop. "This is all you can handle." Every time I heard them, the knot in my chest grew tighter. That night, after the kids were tucked in, I sat on the edge of our bed while David brushed his teeth. I tried to talk about it. "You really embarrassed me today," I whispered. He spat out toothpaste and shrugged. "Babe, it was just a joke. You know how my family is. They don't need to know every little dream you have. It's cute, but let's be realistic." Cute, realistic. Those words landed like stones. I lay awake long after he fell asleep, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of every year I had stayed quiet. Every time I had shrunk myself so his family would like me. Every time I had smiled through their little digs about my clothes, my accent, my simple ideas. The silence at that table wasn't new, it was just the loudest it had ever been. The next weeks were a blur of pain and pretending. I cooked, I cleaned, I helped the kids with homework, all while something inside me was dying. I stopped mentioning my catering plans. I deleted the website draft I had been so proud of. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw the woman they saw, small, limited, only good for simple things. The betrayal wasn't just David's words. It was the way his entire family had nodded along, like my dreams were something to be patted on the head and put away. But the worst part was realizing how long I had let it happen. I had betrayed myself first, year after year, choosing peace over my own voice. The silence that day had destroyed the last piece of me, but still believed I was enough. One rainy Tuesday, while David was at work, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open. My hands were shaking, but I opened the catering folder again. I looked at the photos of the cakes I had made, the tables I had styled, the thank you messages from neighbors. For the first time in weeks, something flickered inside me, not pain, but fire. I whispered to the empty kitchen, "They don't get to decide what I can handle." That was the moment everything shifted. The tears stopped being about them and started being about me. I was done waiting for permission. I was done letting their silence define me. The pain had broken me open, but now it was making me stronger. I started working at night after everyone slept. I took small orders. I built quietly, carefully, like a woman who had finally learned the sound of her own voice. David never noticed. His family never asked, and that was fine, because for the first time, I wasn't doing it for their approval. I was doing it for me. 3 months later, the invitation went out. I sent it to the whole family group chat. Summer BBQ at our house this Saturday. I'm handling everything. Come hungry. David raised an eyebrow when he saw it. You sure you want to do all that again? He asked with that same half smile. I just smiled back. This time I've got it. The day arrived. The backyard looked like something from a magazine long, wooden. Tables with fresh flowers I had arranged myself. Fairy lights strung between the trees. And a full catering spread that made my old BBQ look like child's play. When the family pulled up, their faces changed. David's mother actually paused at the gate, staring. I greeted them in a crisp white shirt and jeans, no yellow sundress this time. I moved with calm confidence, directing the teenage helpers I had hired, checking temperatures, laughing with the guests. David kept glancing at me like he didn't recognize the woman in front of him. After the food was served and everyone was seated, I stood up with a glass of sparkling water. The chatter quieted. I looked straight at David, then at his mother, then at every face that had stayed silent that day. I want to thank you all for coming, I said, voice steady and clear. A few months ago, at the last family BBQ, someone told me this. I gestured to the beautiful tables, was all I could handle, and the silence that followed. It almost broke me. No one moved. The same heavy silence from before now filled my backyard. But here's what I learned, I continued. That silence didn't destroy me. It woke me up. It showed me that I had been shrinking myself for years, just to fit into someone else's idea of enough. So I stopped waiting. I built this. Every plate, every detail, every order I've taken since that day, it's all me. And I can handle so much more than you ever imagined. I looked at David. His face had gone pale. I'm leaving next month, I said softly. The kids and I will be okay. I've already found a beautiful little house, and my business is growing faster than I dreamed. I don't need anyone's permission anymore. And I certainly don't need anyone's silence to tell me what I'm worth. The quiet that followed wasn't awkward. It was stunned. No one knew what to say. David opened his mouth, closed it again. His mother stared at her plate like it had betrayed her. I raised my glass. So thank you, truly, for showing me exactly what I don't want to be anymore. I sat down. The party continued, but the energy had changed. They ate the food I had made. They admired the tables I had styled. And they felt the weight of every unspoken word from that first barbecue. Later that night, after everyone had gone and the kids were asleep, I stood alone in the quiet backyard. The fairy lights twinkled softly. For the first time in years, I felt light. Not because I had heard them, but because I had finally chosen myself. The revenge wasn't loud or cruel. It was simple. I became everything they said I couldn't be. And in doing so, I set myself free. If there's one thing I want you to remember from my story, it's this. Sometimes the silence that destroys you is the very thing that forces you to find your voice. Never let anyone, family, partner, or even your own fear convince you that your dreams are too big or that you are too small to chase them. You are more than what they can handle. You are everything you choose to become. And that is the most beautiful revenge of all.